Do you believe that forest ghosts are real? The following short stories may help you clarify your point of view. Probably few people believe in the existence of forest ghosts. But it's not that there isn't one, there's a reason why grandparents say, sacred forest, poisonous water. The other day there was a wedding in the village, right near my house, so of course I had to help cook the food. At 12 o'clock at night, people often cook chicken and then take out the chicken feet, and the people who eat grilled chicken eat it together, which is very interesting. But there is no pleasure that he likes like sitting at 12 o'clock at night eating stir-fried chicken intestines, homegrown chicken feet that are grilled and fragrant with honey to nibble on. However, it will be even more enjoyable with someone telling ghost stories. While eating and drinking, the guys started telling ghost stories for fun. Suddenly an old man in the group remembered something and started talking. Do you believe in ghosts or not? I saw a ghost the other day. They were all talking loudly. Some said there was no ghost, some said yes, some believed, some didn't believe. Some people said they had seen it but then they didn't. The conversation kept going on and on but nothing came out. The old man began to tell. A month ago, the old man went looking for buffalo in the Dun forest, a forest as familiar as the palm of his 60-year-old man's hand. But at least he has lived and walked around the Dun forest for 50 years, it's nothing new, but he never thought that this forest would be haunted by ghosts. That day around 9 a.m., he was wandering through the bushes looking for ginseng plants to soak in wine, when suddenly he heard something like a howl. In this young, not so old forest, howling is not a very scary thing. He listened and reassured himself. It was probably just the sound of the wind howling or some young men going to cut firewood for the house. He didn't care. After looking for a long time and not finding any trees, suddenly he saw a grove with a small ginseng tree growing with red flowers, the Ngoklin ginseng tree. But he never thought that such a precious ginseng tree would grow in this land. In his heart, he was very happy but also saw something strange. He just sat and looked at the ginseng tree. Suddenly he saw someone crying in the room. In the bushes nearby, he curiously spoke up. "Someone, why are you crying in there?" There was absolutely no response inside. He immediately came closer, lifted up the bushes and saw a white bundle. He was very surprised. Experience shows that something bad has happened. Maybe he was trapped to fulfill some wish left by the dead child. He let out a sigh and said, "I will do what needs to be done, don't scare me, I'm old enough to die of fear." Then he forcefully grabbed the bundle and pulled it out. Sure enough, inside was the body of a child. The child was not yet a day old. It could have given birth to something that was already dead and some mother had cruelly thrown the child there. It's also possible that some girl got pregnant and then came up here to have an abortion. Recently, the media also said that a temple somewhere specializes in burying hundreds of these bodies a day. There's also some kind of exchange program, saying that a lot of students these days sleep together and get pregnant but don't dare admit it and end up having an abortion. So pitiful. He took it out, dug a hole the size of a ginseng hoe, then buried it and marked it so he could bring the incense smoke up to light it the next day. Poor girl. After he finished burying it, it was about 12 noon. At this time, he felt hungry and thirsty. He remembered the Ngoklin ginseng tree with the red-pink fruit he had just seen, but strangely, the ginseng tree did not exist. The ground was just empty. Just a termite nest, nothing. How strange. He started to get his tools to go home. In any case, today was an unlucky day. He went down the mountain, but he kept walking and could not find the familiar road. He kept walking. It's strange. This land I know every big tree stump, every mouse trail. I've been in this forest for so many years and I'm still lost. Maybe I'm too old. The old man kept walking, walking, walking. Everything started to feel uneven and strange, then became flat. Lychee trees mixed with custard apple trees and peanut gardens. He was panicked and didn't know why he was lost during the day. The street was in the same place where he had been traveling for many years. He knew for sure that he had been infected with the evil spirits of some ghost. He immediately urinated on his hand, then smeared it all over his face. He became more alert and then realized that he was drowning. In the Dongchao area of Haichuan province, it is true that from his place to that side there were only a few kilometers of forest road, but it was strange that he got lost for a few kilometers and could not remember. How strange. After waking up, knowing that the ghost was leading him to the village on the other side of this mountain, he looked at the sky and saw that it was already dark. Now he was dead. He could not return to his village on the other side of the mountain because it was already dark. The path is very difficult. Here at night you can easily fall into the waterfall and die, otherwise the snakes and centipedes will send you to heaven. He was walking around at the foot of the mountain where he dropped down, when he met a woman returning from gathering firewood. After passing by without saying anything, the girl suddenly turned around and asked, "You are from another village, right? What's the matter? You haven't come home yet at night." "I got lost on this side. I'm on the other side of the mountain, sister. I'm in Bakjiang." "So how did you get all the way here, sir?" "A few kilometers away." "I don't know. How can I go home now?" "Go back to my house, I'll let you stay." The old man was surprised, but because he was old, he couldn't do anything anymore. Even if his daughter stayed at home, he wouldn't be able to put anyone in danger. He didn't feel embarrassed. He said, "Thank you, I don't know which way to go. Please let me stay for the night until early tomorrow morning." The old man followed the girl home. The house was not far away. The house was very small but very clean. It was true that a woman's house was different. There was a small kitchen and a well and a pond. Next to it, there is a gate full of flowers, all climbing azalea flowers entwined with each other, covering the entire edge of the gate, purple flowers swaying, and a few long, tender fruits scattered here and there. The girl said he went out to the well to wash his hands, feet and face, then went into the house to drink water and waited for her to cook. He was a bit embarrassed because the house was a bit small and there was only one girl. He wandered to the gate and stood in this village. Not big, every house is a few meters away from other houses. The space is ancient but peaceful at the foot of the mountain. In the late afternoon, smoke covers the village in a blue color. Every house is cooking rice or feeding their children. Sometimes when I saw a house cursing a child, it was a very peaceful scene. The girl's house was next to the mountain, next to the road leading from the mountain to the village. Several people were picking firewood to split and carry through the gate. They saw the old man. They were all very surprised and scared. They seemed to avoid the gate to get out. Occasionally, someone passed by and avoided him, or rather they avoided the gate full of purple bean flowers. He began to get suspicious. One was that he had often heard the elders tell ghost stories. Many times he watching ghost movies. Usually ghosts trick people and create illusions such as a beautiful house, a clean house, a crowded house to lure people in. Then they asked for help to fulfill the vows that they could not do when they were alive. Or it will tease people until they faint. In general, what he was told was that ghosts cannot harm people, they only create illusions for people to harm others. So the old man was about to go to the bottom. He was not afraid of any situation. But what do you mean by tricking me all the way here? Is it a ghost or a person? And that's the end of the first story. The second story is called Ghost Beast. A very good story shared by my younger brother. Surely everyone, when they were children, heard their grandparents tell stories about encountering magical beasts. I also share the story I was told by my grandfather. My paternal hometown is Taipui, Taipin. In the past, the country roads were all winding dirt roads, with uncountable bamboo and shrubs on both sides. But in the countryside, everyone closes the door and goes to bed at around 8 p.m., except for the children who are playful or run away from home to wander. Especially on moonlit nights. My uncle was the same way at that time. He was about 12 years old. That day, the moon was so bright, the sisters and the neighborhood children sneaked out to play. That day, my uncle went alone. When passing through a section with bamboo bushes, he suddenly saw a herd of piglets jumping out from the bamboo bushes. Each of them was pure white. One of the animals at the end of the herd had a crippled leg and was jumping around in front of them. My uncle saw this and wanted to catch it, but the more he chased it, the more he saw it moving closer and closer. Just when you think you've caught it, you see it disappear. Right now my mind only thinks about catching pigs. While my uncle was still engrossed in the pigs, his grandmother got up to go to the bathroom and couldn't find him, so he called the whole family up to look for him. I'm just afraid that when I go to the bathroom at night, I slip into the pond. At that time, neighbors were close to each other and almost all were relatives and were very close to each other. Everyone waded into the pond to look but couldn't find anything. It must have been 3 o'clock at night. Afterwards, everyone spread out, lit oil lamps and walked around looking for them. My grandfather told her to stay home and burn incense and ask the elders to lead the way while he and everyone else went searching. Then when the sky began to dawn, but it was still very dim, my brother suddenly heard someone's voice behind him saying it was in the bamboo bush there. My brother turned around and saw no one. So my brother also ventured to the dense bamboo bush. Normally, it would be difficult for a dog or cat to get in. Below the bamboo shoots grow like thorns. When I looked up, under the flickering light I saw my uncle sitting with his knees bent in there. My brother quickly shouted for everyone to bring out knives and chop the bushes to get him out. What's strange is that when it was brought out, there were no scratches on his entire body. After returning home, his whole body was cold and he had a fever for several days before he woke up and told the story. My grandparents said they were being led by ghosts. Before the famine, people died everywhere. Then from then on, not daring to run away anymore, he said luckily there was someone on the way. Perhaps it was his grandparents who were able to find him. Otherwise, it will capture all the souls and spirits, and you will only die there. There is another story. My grandfather used to be a shaman, both a teacher and a shaman, but later he only read horoscopes for acquaintances. One day, while I was sleeping, in the morning a woman from the village came knocking on the door. It was summer, but it was very early and the sky was still hazy. She asked my grandfather to come over and take a look for her. I was lying on the bed outside, so I was waiting to see if I could catch a fish. It's like she went to the market early but halfway there remembered she forgot her hat at home, so she turned back. When she entered the gate, she saw on the bridge a white dog she had raised for more than 10 years, wearing a hat and walking with a cane like a human. She was so scared that she ran straight here to call my grandfather. When my grandfather heard that, he carried a brown cloth bag and followed her. When he returned, it was around noon. My brother went home, boiled water with grapefruit leaves, bathed, lit incense, and then told the story to his children. When my grandfather went there, he couldn't see the dog anymore. When she opened the door to enter the house, she locked the door when she went to the market. Then I saw the dog lying on the roof of the house. It looked down and showed its white teeth. It made a hissing sound like the sound of old people who are about to die whistling their breath. My grandfather told my grandmother to burn incense, bring rice and salt, then ran to the neighbor's house to ask for baby urine. But as soon as I bent down to grab the rice to throw, it disappeared. But the door is still closed. There is another story about my uncle going to watch fish ponds for people. Early that day, he left, but about an hour later, he ran back without a drop of blood on his face. He said that in order to get to the lagoon quickly, he took a shortcut through the rice fields and saw a cow belonging to a family right in the field. My uncle felt strange and tried to catch it, but as soon as he ran, he saw it in front of him. After a while, he knew he was being teased by the devil, so he turned around and went the other way. After walking a while, I saw an old man wearing a brown suit with silver hair sitting near the field but with his back turned. Uncle ran up and patted his shoulder and said, "Grandpa, I just saw a ghost. Please go home or he will make you mad." Then he said, "What does the ghost look like?" Then he looked up and looked at his uncle. Its face has no eyes or nose, its skin is as rough as the skin of a drowned person. Uncle was so scared that he rushed home. While running and falling, everyone said that the ghost you saw was a ghost with a black face. It only appears to tease weak-minded people. Already. Enough about Taibin. Now I'm moving to my home Ha Long. When I was about 10 years old, my brother was driving a truck. That morning he went to the slope. That day was around 4 a.m. but it was winter, so it was still very dark. When I reached the downhill section, I saw a white dog jumping out in front of the car. My brother quickly braked and felt like he was on fire. Luckily there was no car behind at that time. When I ran down to look, thinking I had hit a dog, I didn't see anything. Looking around, there was a rocky slope below, so I thought it must have run away, so my brother returned to the car. But it's very strange. The car keeps sputtering and won't move. The younger brother bent down to look at the lock and then looked up and saw. The white dog was sitting in front of the car, its mouth opened with white teeth as if smiling at him. Then its long red tongue dragged down the road. The younger brother then thought to himself, "I've seen a ghost," so the younger brother quickly picked up the incense stick, lit it and prayed. The younger brother explained that people who drive long distances like him, will always have incense on the car because there are roads with shrines. If you don't pray properly, it will be difficult to pass. The younger brother prayed for a while to let him pass, then tomorrow he would bring fruits, gold. The car started up as if nothing had ever happened. Then of course that afternoon my younger brother brought things back to that place to burn incense. Since that time, he occasionally passed by that road and saw it again. Sometimes the dog turned into a white pig but was no longer teased. There are many stories about it, but most of the time it turns into a dog, a pig, or sometimes a white calf in the middle of the field. But now I've forgotten most of it, and this is the end of the story. If you find the story interesting, please give me one like and one subscriber. I hope everyone has fun listening to the story. See you soon in the following videos. Goodbye.